Aphrodite's Last Tear. On the shores of Paphos, where the waves kissed the sand with whispers of forgotten gods, there stood a statue unlike any other. It was said to be the last creation of Pygmalion, a sculpture so lifelike that, under the right moonlight, it seemed to breathe. But no one knew the statue's true secret, except for an old fisherman named Theo. Theo was no great hero, no demigod favored by the Olympians. He was simply a man who had spent his life listening to the sea, to the wind, and to the whispers of things long past. He had heard the stories, the legends of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, who had once walked among mortals. Some claimed she had vanished, retreating to Olympus forever. Others, like Theo, believed she had left behind something precious. One stormy evening, as Theo mended his nets by lantern light, a figure in a hooded cloak stepped into his humble hut. The air grew thick with the scent of salt and roses. "You are Theo, the last listener," the stranger said, her voice like a melody woven from longing and light. "I have need of you." The old fisherman looked up and saw, beneath the hood, a face that defied time, beautiful, sorrowful, eternal. "Aphrodite," he whispered. The goddess lowered her hood, revealing golden curls that shimmered like the dawn. "I have one final task before I fade from this world," she said. "Will you help me?" Theo, awestruck but steady, nodded. "Tell me what you need." Aphrodite turned her gaze toward the statue in the center of the village square. "That statue," she said, "is not mere marble. It is a prison, a curse placed upon someone I loved long ago." Theo frowned. "Who?" "My son." The fisherman felt the weight of those words press upon him like the tide. The myths spoke little of Aphrodite's children, but he knew of Eros, of Harmonia. Had there been another? "His name was Theron," Aphrodite continued, her voice laced with sorrow. "He was not like the others. He did not inspire love nor wield beauty as a weapon. He was kind, gentle, a god who wished only to watch the world bloom." She sighed, "And that was his crime." Theo listened, rapt, as he told the tale. Theron had once roamed the mortal world, blessing those who loved selflessly, not with riches or beauty, but with happiness, the kind that settled deep in the soul. But the other gods had seen him as a weakness, a flaw in the Olympian order. Ares had scorned him, Hera had called him useless, even Zeus had dismissed him. And so, with a whisper of divine law, Theron was cursed, turned to stone by those who deemed him unworthy of godhood. His statue had stood in the village ever since, a forgotten monument to a forgotten god. "I have tried to break the curse," Aphrodite said, "but love alone is not enough. I need something mortal, something of this world." Theo, still grasping the enormity of her words, asked, "What must I do?" Aphrodite stepped closer, and from her sleeve she produced a single tear, crystallized, glowing faintly. "My last tear," she murmured. "It holds the last of my power in this world, but it cannot awaken Theron unless it is given willingly by a mortal who understands true love." Theo hesitated. He was just an old man, a simple fisherman. What did he know of love strong enough to move the heavens? Then he thought of his wife, Elara, who had passed many years ago. He thought of how she had waited for him by the shore each evening, no matter the storm. He thought of how her hands had felt in his, even when time stole their youth. Without another word, Theo took the tear and walked to the statue. The villagers, drawn by the strange glow, watched in silence. He placed the tear upon the statue's chest. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a crack. A golden light burst forth, spilling like liquid sunlight. The marble crumbled, and from within a figure emerged, a young man with eyes like the endless sky. Theron gasped, taking his first breath in centuries. Aphrodite, tears slipping freely now, embraced her son. The villagers fell to their knees, realizing they had been living among a god all along. As the dawn broke over Paphos, Aphrodite turned to Theo. "You have given him a second life," she said, "and so I grant you a gift in return." The old fisherman felt a warmth in his chest, a presence beside him, Elara's laughter, her touch, her voice carried on the wind, not as a ghost, not as a memory, but as something real. Aphrodite smiled. Love is never truly lost. And with that, the goddess of love faded into the morning light, leaving behind only the echoes of her last tear, proof that love, when given freely, could break even the mightiest of curses.